August 1993 and September 1993 because I only read two books in each of those months. So, once again, we have 2 months in a single video. Let's jump right in because the first book I read in August of 1993, it's going to take a while for me to get through this. It's Caribbean Blues, or Caribbean Blues, depending on how you pronounce it, by Mary Higgins Clark, Molly Cochran, Max Allan Collins, Gregory MacDonald, Richard Myers, Warren Murphy, and Robert J. Randisi. All of those authors wrote this book, Caribbean Blues. This is a mystery, and essentially, all of these authors took one of their characters, if I remember all this correctly, they took one of their characters and put them on this cruise ship. And there's a jewel thief, or a jewel theft, and I believe a murder. And each of these authors have their characters involved in trying to solve this. And I think the only one I can really remember, I think Warren Murphy uses his character Trace. I'm not sure if Gregory MacDonald uses Fletch or Schuyler or somebody else. Max Allan Collins, Nathan Heller, maybe? I don't know. It's been, obviously, a long time since I read it. But I thought it was fun. I like this kind of thing. And I think they said basically one author would write their chapter and then just hand it off and let the next author do whatever they wanted to do. And then they would hand it off to the next one. And I also think the proceeds went to something for this book. This is one I wouldn't mind finding and reading again, just to see if it was as enjoyable as I remember it being. But all these authors, just a single story. So, really cool. A lot of fun. Next up, in August 1993, Paper Doll by Robert B. Parker. This is a Spencer book, and the perfect wife and mother, a blue blood woman, is brutally murdered, and the cops can't find anything, so the husband hires Spencer to figure out who murdered his wife. And Spencer's having no luck in Boston, so he goes back to her hometown in South Carolina and has to dig into her past. And of course, that's when we find out she's not the perfect blue blood wife and mother. And this is great Spencer. You got a little fish out of water element, which basically happens, I think, anytime Spencer leaves Boston. And it also has the type of ending that I like. Semi-spoilery? I don't know. Obviously, this isn't going to be a very specific thing, but one of the things I like about private detective fiction is that since a private detective isn't beholden to the law, technically, or everybody is, technically, but, they're not a cop. They don't have to follow the same... Private detectives can get away with things the cops can't. As far as what they decide to do with the information they have. Again, yes, there's plenty of fictional cops, probably real life cops that, take the law into their own hands and may or may not do things with evidence. We won't get into that, but I like when, any fictional character makes the moral choice or the ethical choice over what the law says. Does that make sense? Anyway, spoilers. That's, I believe, the kind of thing that happens in this book. And I always dig that. So now we move on to September of 1993. And the first book I read was The Further Adventures of Wonder Woman, edited by Martin H. Greenberg, Great, great cover by Joe DeVito. I really dig that cover. And thank you to Tony. Little shout out. My sister's boyfriend who heard that I was looking for a copy of this book, and he found one for me and got it for me. So thanks, Tony. So this is an anthology of Wonder Woman stories, all original Wonder Woman stories. There's only 8 in here. So you have Joey Cavalieri, Karen Haber, Will Murray, Mindy Newell, Pamela Sargent, Elizabeth Ann Scarborough, Henry Slesser, and Edward Wellen are the authors. And it's exactly what it sounds like, just a bunch of Wonder Woman stories. I like this stuff. And then finally, the last book that I read in September of 1993 is Anthony Shriek by Jessica Amanda Salmonson. This is a Del Abyss book, and it's about an artist named Anthony Shriek who meets, a mysterious woman who somehow causes his paintings to become gateways to other worlds. And it's, again, very, I don't know if esoteric is the right word. Definitely a little more cerebral than a lot of the other horror that was coming out. The Del Abyss line was this sort of bizarre intellectual horror. I think that's how I look at it. Again, as I say every time, I would love to have all these Del Abyss books again. That's it. 4 books. 2 months, 4 books. What do we got? A couple mysteries, little comic booky stuff, and a horror novel. Yeah, that's all I've got. Except for this question. What do you think of the idea of a bunch of authors sort of pooling their characters into a single story? Whether it's a mystery like this or horror, of course, would be great, I think. Again, my answer, I like it. Especially in horror, it would be interesting. A lot of people talk about how they would love to see something. We had Freddy versus Jason, but how crazy would it be if you had Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, Chucky, Pinhead, all of these sort of iconic horror characters in the same story? Or there are plenty of authors that have a character that they've focused on in not necessarily all of their work, but in some of their work. And what if you brought those together? If you had, say, Levi Stoltzfus, however you say his name, from Brian Keene, and Repairman Jack from F. Paul Wilson, excuse me. Hunter Shea has his sort of ghost hunter character whose name I can't think of right now. I'm going to point to something you can't see. I have a poster of the cover of Exorcist Falls by Jonathan Jan's character in there. He could throw that in. All of these different characters sort of coming together, which we may get from Centralia, if any more of that ever comes out. I have a review on that, which was a book. The idea of cities that keep burning, sort of underground burning, and gateways to different places. And you have a number of different authors, including Brian Keene, Cullen Bunn, Adam Seizure, I think, guy from Impractical Jokers, who I can't think of right now. But there's a theme to them, and eventually all of them are supposed to come together. But I think Brian Keene's story has Levi Stoltzfus and another one of his characters. I think they're the only ones, as far as I know, that are characters from other works. I think everybody else is original to the book. But anyway, I'm getting a little off track here. But I love that idea, bringing different characters together, as long as it's well done. But yeah, you get Brian Keene and F. Paul Wilson, and hell, it's not really horror, but you could throw in Hap and Leonard with Joe Lansdale, or Bubba Hotep. Have all these characters going up against Bubba Hotep. But get Jonathan Jan's character from Exorcist Falls and Hunter Shays, and this is all just Joe Ledger from Jonathan Mayberry, excuse me. I would love that. That'd be so cool. And you get each author to sort of write their character. That'd be great. What do you think? Is that something that interests you? Do you think it's overkill? What characters would you like to see sort of crossing over? Let me know in the comments below. All right, that's all I've got. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronin5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, and a few other things every once in a while, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. That's all I've got for you this time. So until next time, read more books.